here in the Philippines. I've just discovered that I can actually go live now, that I have a reasonable number of followers who have joined me over here on Grumpy BRIT in the Philippines. Whoa, so much has happened since I last saw you. My other channel, British Expat in the Philippines, is no longer a viable option for me, which is a pity because I've worked hard to build up the following to just over nearly 8,500 people. Of course, it was monetarized, and the objective of that was to assist those that I'm living with an educational fund, which will no longer be after the end of this month, because if I don't have access to it, then I can't add any income to it. No doubt it will have small amounts, but it won't amount to much. So I love and let live. It will just die its natural death. But anyway, Grumpy BRIT in the Philippines is this channel, and I'm looking forward to maybe doing a live for a while, each day as well, simply because I want to expose my channel to as many of those that previously watched the other channel, and it gives you all a chance to follow my exploits through the next few months, especially over Christmas, and see what I'm up to. And hopefully you'll enjoy the videos that I, in the meantime, will be putting up each day as my thought for the day. Now, tonight, of course, is just a trial in a way to see whether or not, in fact, they're getting any response. I don't expect it immediately, but maybe by tomorrow I will give a pre-warning that I will be going live at a reasonable time, so you've got an opportunity to at least see what I've got to say. So those that have watched today, thank you for watching. At the moment, 4 million of you. But as there's 4 million, I suppose I should be polite enough to at least stay on board for a while. It's funny, you know, when you have a video that you do and it's really based a bit on clickbait and drama, it's amazing how the word American as part of the title drags a lot of people in. But of course, those with simple minds, the bottom feeders of the world, especially Americans, sadly, always seem to jump on the bandwagon and start to, salivate at the thought that somehow I'm against Americans, that I'm against veterans, that I'm against, you name it, I'm against it. And that's sad to see, because I'm not. It's simple as that. Most of the people I speak to on a regular basis, either on Facebook or in terms of other groups, are Americans, actually. I have a couple of friends here who are English around here. Yes, and I have an American too up the road. So I have a splattering of everything. There are a few Australians around too. And clearly the emphasis on this channel is the same as British Expat in the Philippines. Many of you who have come over here have followed me to Grumpy BRIT in the Philippines. This channel here will definitely remain. The other one goes with the wind. It's currently not available to me, if you get my meaning. And sadly, some Filipinos, in their effort to be strong and determined, use many things as weapons. They weaponize your thoughts, they weaponize your anything that's dear to you, they will weaponize. They seem to, when the hell hath no fury sort of thing. It's one of these things where if they get something on you, no matter how minor, they will feel they're in control. Certainly in my case, with my former girlfriend, as she now wants to be referred to, and her children, not my stepchildren. Apparently, I'm not allowed to use that terminology anymore. How petty is that? 10 years in their lives, and I can only refer to them as the children of my ex-girlfriend. Now, I'm having to read this sideways. Hello, Liam. How are you? I can read it, but I'm going to have to read it like that because it's not coming across vertical. Unless, of course, I'm coming up sideways and you're coming out long ways. Maybe you could tell me. Where are we? Hello, Kuya. Very small groups of expats are okay, but a big community of group, I wouldn't be sure. Yes, that's for sure. Oh, excuse the pun. That wouldn't be. Yes, you can surround yourself with, I feel, sometimes too many people from overseas. And after all, if you go and live in Australia, don't you want to surround yourself with Australians? Or do you want to, if you come from Timbuktu, do you want to surround yourself with Timbuktus? I don't think you do. Hello, are you having a good day? I am having a good day. He says with a bit of stress. Now, I'm still hovering a little bit because some women like to make me feel like I'm in fear, and they like the idea of fear as a way of controlling me and my thoughts. And sadly, I'm succumbing somewhat to it because the suggestion is that if I was to go down to Manila for 2 or 3 days, don't necessarily expect that you can come back here, young John. Well, I suppose maybe that could be a threat, and also it could be seen as a bluff. I tend to take both of them quite seriously. So currently, at this point in time, as I haven't departed yet down to go to Manila, and it wasn't my intention until maybe Tuesday, Wednesday next week. I haven't quite made up my mind whether I do. After all, one thing they can't take from me, and that is my pension, my money. I hold on to my money. Yes, I'm giving some of it away to the girls. Sorry, the girls of my ex-partner, because I feel I want to, okay? So, as it might be seen as silly, but I made commitments to them personally that I will honour currently. And to hell with the mother of my the mother of my, you know what I mean. I'm not going to fall into the trap of watching my P's and Q's. I won't mention her by name. I won't refer to her anything more than my ex-girlfriend. She has moved on. She has her own life. And maybe in reality, she's always had her own life. And I've been foolish enough to believe that by building her home, providing everybody with a future legacy, something that they can tangibly lift themselves and their lifestyle to a lifestyle that they're happy with. But many of you guys have always said to me, don't be so hasty about building a home. Be prepared to maybe rent for maybe a year or so. I tend to believe that if you've got to wait that long, then maybe you haven't found the right woman yet anyway, because for me, if you commit yourself to somebody, whether on a piece of paper, whether a ring on their finger, you commit. That's the moral side of me. And therefore, I won't be dictated to necessarily by the multitude. I've made mistakes in my life, and I'm sure many of you have too. Let me just see if I can read some of these messages that are on their side. Dwayne Jones, do you have blood children at home? I do have blood children in Australia, New Zealand, and in England, but not here in the Philippines. Oh, thank God, he said. But everything down there works. So I was just very lucky. She's now 50, my ex-girlfriend. Now, Joseph B., are you laying down, John? Am I laying down? No, it sounds like maybe I will go like that. And is that better? Can somebody tell me whether that is actually better for you guys? Because it tells me to rotate the device. Now, hey, change the angle of your camera. Very hard to... Now, is that actually better? Right, okay, so I will ignore the thing where it says orientation is locked, rotate device back. That's all right. Press that. At least 1 minute of the video needed to be started a highlight. Anyway, the point is that you can now see me, and I can actually see your messages better. Thank you anyway. Yes, Mr. Romandas Tambi. Yes, that's good. Thank you very much for telling me. There you go. Chris, better. Oh, sorry. Corrected now. Right, so as this is my first day using this telephone, and I had to turn them around. Oh, Garcia. That's not Joe, is it? Just happened to be in front of my YouTube. Great to see you. Is that you, Joe? I've just watched you in Cambodia, if it is. Anyway, because I've only got a few subscribers, 730, I think, something like that. I didn't realize that I could actually do lives now. So I will be doing lives because it's a good way of getting through to some people. Let's have a look. I think it is, Garcia. I think it is. I hope it is, Joe. No, I'm Pinoy living in America. Oh, sorry. Wrong Garcia. That's all right. Oh, not an American. Oh, I'll have to be very careful now. I'm joking. Let me just see. I seem to be at the bottom of the screen. Maybe if I... Yeah. This is definitely a DIY night. Oops. Oh, I think maybe I won't worry. Anyway, I'm in view anyway. Love your stuff, grumpy old Brit. I am a grumpy old Brit. No, I'm not actually grumpy. I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off that I've given 10 years of my life to someone who does not appreciate my efforts. So I suppose that's my grumpy side of me. I'm pissed off because they have gone behind my back and moved on, and I've been left to carry the baby, so to speak. Having said that, my ex, as I must refer to her now, has a daughter who's about to give birth, and I'm excited because I've been 10 years in her life, and she's only a few weeks now away, and you can imagine I only have to think back to one of my 5 children myself, how anxious one's wife was at the time, and all of the things going through. And I'm still trying to be a good person for them. Neil, I'm not in Manila yet, no, and I'm still sort of hovering there because I'm suffering a little bit by elder abuse here in the house. I'm not letting it control me, but I'm certainly aware that there are moves afoot to make my life as miserable as possible, so that in the event that I have had enough, I pack my bags and go, and then they can go, not they, she can go, wow, I just scored a 10 million peso house for nothing. And that's important to me, that this is my home. I built it. Whether I bought the goods for the property in her name simply because it made more sense just to keep everything in her name, thinking ahead, well, if she ever needed to claim something wasn't quite right with the house, she would be the one that they can deal with. But now, of course, again, elder abuse. It's now suggesting, well, you didn't build the house, I did. Prove it. I've got all the receipts. Well, actually, she hasn't. Nobody's got all the receipts because I chucked most of them out. But anybody with any imagination for 5 seconds would see that, oh, yes, so Mrs. Whatever your name is, tell me, how did you find 10 million pesos when your salary is only 18 a month? Little hard to imagine unless you won the lottery, of course, ma'am. Which, of course, it will never come to that, because one thing I've learned in life, women can be heartless, women can be wonderful, women can be caring, women can be loyal, but also some women can be cheaters. And sometimes we find one and we're somewhat taken back by it. And it's difficult sometimes to handle. Certainly at my young age, so I'm 76 now. In May, I'll be 77. Good innings so far. But given that most of my family have lived well into their 90s, I've got a good reason to be hopeful. And looking at the future, I know there's a woman out there, probably hundreds of them, who would care for me, love me, respect me, and be a great companion, if not partner, and maybe even a wife. But I haven't found her yet, and I haven't gone looking either. But for some, the urgency was obviously more intense than it has been for me. That is a difficulty with any person coming to a foreign country and not speaking the language, because it enables the person who speaks the language to live a second, or should I say a parallel lifestyle with their partner, simply because you're unaware of what's going on around you. Another very important aspect was they call, what do they call it? Red flags. One thing to remember is that look at the person you've chosen and ask yourself and observe very carefully, how many friends do they actually have that call to her home? How many friends do they talk about that you've been introduced to that are still friends? Now you're her partner or boyfriend. If the answer to that is very few or none, then I think that's a pretty big indication that maybe she's a little bit toxic even amongst her friends. Because having dear friends, and I can account for many in my life that I'm still in contact on a regular basis, and a true friend can pick up the phone and start a conversation with me as if I'm right next door and I haven't seen them for 10 minutes. That's a true friend. I have a friend up the road who's a true friend. We have a sort of an open invitation on a Thursday to go and have a coffee for a few hours. He's a friend, somebody I can talk to, somebody I can offload. Sometimes I bother him with my situation and I can see he's irritated, but he's a friend and I let him tell me what he thinks. And in that conversation, it is helpful. It's almost like my therapist, use American expression. Anyway, back to, where are we? We had the last one that I made a mistake of. Right, it was Garcia. Thank you anyway, Garcia. Right, Neil. Love your stuff, grumpy old Brit. Then it's got Mesa. Oh, you have to excuse me there. Mesa Tijada Vlogs. Hello. Well, hello anyway. Neil Gonzalez. That's a good Spanish name. Are you in Manila? No, I'm not. Masa Tele Vlogs is Happy Hands. Another one is dancing, maybe. That's you have a right to feel peed off. Sure, it's a personal betrayal, but I hope you soar like an eagle wings on your newfound freedom. I will. Yes, I will. Definitely, Neil. That's for sure. Sorry if I missed it. But what did they do? Probably not wise to put in words here. You can have a private conversation on my Facebook, or we can chat using an email. Got to be a bit careful here, as you can imagine. Are you still giving her proceeds from the YouTube channel? Well, what happened there was that she did the legwork, put all of the things in. I thought originally I knew it was my email address, but somewhere along the line it became hers, maybe to do with AdSense. So all of the money does go to her. I would think, given that yesterday was my last day. Was it yesterday? No, it was this morning she cut it off. At that point, there was only $41 accumulated because of the 4 days that I wasn't able to utilize the channel. So I doubt it'll make the $100 mark, so she'll get nothing in December. But she'll get about 8,000, 9,000 this month, which will be the last of the money that she'll see on that channel. And in a way, as my mother would have said, she shot herself in the foot. But she says, I don't care, middle finger. Well, that tells you a lot. House of Bob. Yes, she'd bail and prove the funds audit to prove that she'd paid for the house construction. Exactly, House of Bob. That's definitely true. Make the rules too. I wonder if you could order a massage girl once per week to service you at home. Enjoy life, no fear. I like that. Make the rules. Actually, on that note, the other day I decided I needed my toenails clipped. So I decided we have a very nice neighbor who has done for the last 10 years, come here to the house and does massage, full body, and does pedicure and foot spa. So I decided to splash out. I went over to their house, which is a couple of doors down the road here, at the back of us. And I'll use her name. Linda did my foot spa, which was an interesting experience. I've never had one done before. She used a lot of tools that can almost, I'll say, cheese grater, potato peeler, picks, shovels, you name it, pink colour dye, and my feet were new to me. I did not recognize my feet, and my fingernails were done as well, all within 2 hours, chit-chatting with her husband at the same time, and her lovely couple next door, 2 really nice sons and a lot of daughters, good friends with them all. And I had a very relaxing afternoon while that happened. and it cost me 500 pesos, which is pretty good value given that she's skilled at what she did. She wasn't prepared to give me a massage. Maybe because her husband might be joking. Not that kind of massage. But there you are, Neil. No, that message was make the rules number 2. Right now, Neil Gonzalez. I had an ex-girlfriend, Pino, and they are not like YouTube portrays them. Isn't it funny how so many of these young, I say young, 25-year-old plus, have these YouTube channels here in the Philippines? They have a lot of subscribers. I tend to think they're probably other would-be wannabes sitting there interviewing each other, asking whether they like this in bed, whether they like the foreigner having a big one or a little one, or just amazing questions that they ask. They, from my point of view, I just find them boring. I find them stupid. I find them ridiculous. But they have a following, and I suppose because they're monetized, they're making good money compared to what they could do in a real job. And maybe some of them have got real jobs as well. But I think also it appeals to the ego of a young Filipino to feel important. You know, I'll give you an example. I was here in New Guinea, where I'm living, in La Union, which is the big island that's now being pounded by heavy winds and rain, with the latest Papico or something typhoon. I was wandering down the road and somebody came up, tapped me on the shoulder, a lady. Said, I'm up from Manila. I'm one of your subscribers. Can I have a photo of you? And I'm thinking, of me? And I've never seen myself as a celebrity. I just do this for fun. I do it as a hobby, something to keep myself and some sanity going. And yes, sure, they took a photo, and they took a few photos actually. And I was courteous and polite to her, and she did message me afterwards. So I think a lot of these young Filipinos like to be noticed, and a lot of them are out of Dumaguete and Cebu, and I think they almost like to consider themselves a bit like the Filipino pig, who, in my mind, is probably the best all-round video channel for tongue-in-cheek, good entertainment, quite interesting content. She's currently in Australia, showing you what it's like to be in Australia as a Filipino. And she's in Sydney, so the first thing she noticed, she felt like she was at home. There's so many Filipinos there. Yes, there are. Same in New Zealand. You Filipinos have been around. So many of you have made the move, taken the chance, and done well overseas. I congratulate all of you. So, yeah. But I suppose for many, it's an opportunity to get out there. I mean, there's one that my friend, and I will mention it, Ian, expat in the Philippines. If you find him, I'll maybe put a link on one of my descriptions on my next video. Ian, expat in the, or was it Ian, BRIT in the Philippines? Or Ian in the Philippines? It's something like that. But it used to be expat Ian in the Philippines. And good guy. I will call him one of my friends that I've actually met online. And we talk daily. And we have a laugh together. Sometimes we're chatting, I don't even realize it, but we'll chat for maybe over an hour, which I know annoys she who must be a babe, but tough titty. He's my friend, and I appreciate his friendship. He gives me heaps too. Tells me when I really should be listening to him. And of course, as a stubborn old Brit, I don't tend to necessarily listen to him, but he's right most of the time. So I'll give a big shout out. There's another guy that I watch, a bit up and down in the sense that I never know quite what Simon's up to. It's called BRIT and Pine. It's a little bit highbrow, and he's highlighting his life with his Filipino, who he, I believe, met in England, and he has come here back to the Philippines to retire. I have a feeling he might be going back one day soon, because as much as he loves his life as he finds it in his compound with all his wife's relatives, I think maybe he's not quite yet ready for it. I think eventually he will be. And I think also he has to consider the future of his young son. I believe he's 16 now, or certainly he's 14, I believe. Maybe he's 15. So he will be wanting, no doubt, to go back to the UK, where most of his friends, obviously, as a 14, 15-year-old would be. And I don't think he's necessarily going to let his son go back on his own. I don't think his mum will. So it may well be on the cards that Simon, who is called BRIT and Pine, may be one day going back. I've looked at also the idea, as well as doing a YouTube channel. There's a website that Simon told me about where you can do conversational talking to Chinese and Koreans here online and maybe make between $5 and $9 an hour American, which would be quite handy as a little bit of a bonus on top of one's pension. Not saying that you do need it. The same way as many of you who come to the Philippines and spent quite a bit of time here would realize that on a pension from overseas, anything over, and I'd say relatively speaking, anything over $600 per month, as long as you're not paying high rent, should be enough to support yourself. Obviously, once you have a partner, more money will be going out. And if your partner has children, even more will be going out. So you have to be aware of that. But yes, I think that you can on a pension. You should be able to save at least a third of what you're getting. And I talk about in general terms. If you're American, then you are probably more fortunate in the sense that they do pay a higher amount than most other Western countries as a pension. And when I say a pension, Social Security pension. In Australia, we get about $2,200 a month. And I say month, every 4 weeks. It's slightly lower depending on the add-ons that you would be entitled to in Australia. But in general terms, you're on about 80,000, 85,000 pesos a month. And that's more than enough to do it. Isn't that funny? BRIT and Pinoy has just popped up on my notification there. He's obviously put a video up. Wow, midnight, and he's gone and put one up. So he's waiting to tell everybody what he's done today, no doubt. Anyway, guys, I've been on for 34 minutes longer than I ever imagined for my first live from Grumpy Brit in the Philippines. But now I know it, and I know that I do it in the format vertical. I think I might do one for a few days now, each evening, just to see if there's an interest there and let you know what I've been doing during the day. And maybe we can, you can ask me questions and I can no doubt put you right as best I can for life here in the Philippines. For all my loyal subscribers, thank you very much for coming over and subscribing. Sorry, I just went I don't know why, but some reason. For all of those that missed my last bit, for those that feel they might like to help me, how about you subscribe to my channel, and we'll make hay while the sun shines. And I hope that all of you have a lovely day today, and you have a lovely evening from wherever you are. And say hi to all those lovely, friendly Americans. And to my troll Americans, Grumpy Brit signing off. Bye now. Thanks a lot for calling in. Bye-bye.